Good morning, friends. Welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny, and we garden here in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Today's project is to plant this new rose, a climbing rose, into the second garden section of the driveway fence garden. We've been working on this driveway fence all season long so far, and now we're going to make progress on this middle section. So come with me and let's plant a rose and other stuff too in the middle garden section. If you've been following along with the channel this spring, you know that I've been working on this driveway fence garden, trying to make it something that will not have invasive species in it, which will have been the bane of my existence since we moved into this garden. So I don't want invasive species, but I do want beautiful natives if I can find them, but not necessarily only native plants. I want soil management plants, things that will control erosion. I want beauty, I want interest, and I want some repetition in the garden. So I do have a video all about the design for this space, and today we're going to be implementing some of those design choices that I made in that video. But first, let me talk about how I cleaned out and prepared this bed. I spent about 4 hours cleaning this out, digging out spiderwort, daylilies, English ivy, and vinca. Those are the primary plants that were in here. And I found that if I wet it down and waited, then it would come out easier. It took quite a while and a lot of work. And as I went, I discovered more granite blocks that were hiding under the plants in the dirt. Okay, where's the cleanup crew? On the first section of this wall that I have already planted, there were these granite blocks that were used to kind of separate the higher level against the lower level. And I uncovered a bunch of these as I was cleaning out all of this soil. So I went ahead and I relayed them. I dug down into the hill a little bit and then planted the rocks into the soil. These are not meant to be true retaining wall rocks. No one is ever going to walk up on here as a regular, pathway, or it's not meant to be structural in any way. It's really just decorative, and if it helps me hold the soil in a little bit, that's great, but really this is just a decorative element across here. So my method was to dig a little trench where the rocks could sit, and you can see I'm still pulling out plant weeds that hadn't gotten fully dug out while I was digging out the plants. But anyway, dig down into the soil a little bit, just enough for the rock to be seated underneath the soil an inch or two, and then fill around the rocks. And that's how I went about creating this upper terrace. So this was hot and sweaty work. It was actually on the second day after I had dug out the plants. But now I've got those rocks up in there, and hopefully it'll both look nice and make the soil just that much more in place, for at least on the top level. So now it's just a matter of getting my plants in here. Starting with this beautiful rose that I ordered from heirloomroses.com. Now I've ordered from them before. In fact, the can rose that is in the first section of the garden is from Heirloom Roses as well. This one is called Antique. It's a beautiful creamy pink center of the rose petals, and the edges are a vibrant pink, so it's going to have a lot of interest in its flower colors. The petals on the blooms, it's a nice big petal count, about 50 petals per flower. This plant grows healthily in zones 5 through 10, and it handles dappled shade really well, which is why I chose this particular one. I wanted a pink family, something that can handle shade, and so this is that. This will grow to be about 8 feet tall as a climber, but I'm going to be spreading it out to the side, so I'll probably get 6 to 8 feet out of side growth eventually, maybe not in the first year. And then if you were to grow this as a climber on an upward structure, it would be 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide. But I'm going to be espaliering it onto the fence, so it won't be 4 feet wide on the fence. So let's see what else about this. It's hardy in zones 5 to 10. I think I already said that. It's moderately fragrant according to the website, so I'm not growing it for its fragrance, although that will be a nice benefit if it does have a nice one. I'm going to be putting this rose into the center section of this second flower garden. I want to get this rose planted in there. I also have some other plants that I've already purchased that are going to be going into this as well, although I don't think I have enough plants to cover this whole section. I do have some. Also, I'm going to be transplanting some creeping phlox from the courtyard garden into this space. That may or may not happen today. I don't know. I'd like it to, but we'll see how the project goes. Now, let's just get to planting, shall we? I'm going to use my tried and true method. I'm going to dig my holes. I'm going to put some biotone starter fertilizer into the holes. I'm going to put in the plant ball and then cover it up and then water it in. So you can probably see that this rose has no leaves on it, and that's because traveling in the mail, the plant doesn't, there's no control over the climate that the box is going through. So it could be super cold, it could be super hot. And so they're mailed with no leaves on them so that they arrive looking decent, because customers receiving roses where the leaves are all like browned and draggy, and the customer might not be too happy with that. So to protect the plant and to protect the customer service reviews, maybe, they're shipped with no leaves on them. So, but you can see that there is growth happening at the new nodes and things. So this is a really healthy looking plant. It is sent in a plastic bag with a zip tie holding it closed. So if the box is accidentally turned upside down, the soil won't all come out. Also, it has this stake in it, which the box is like right here down to here. So if it turns upside down, this won't slide up to the bottom of the, or it won't slide around in the box is what I'm trying to say. This will hold it steady in the box. So here we go. This rose does have some nasty thorns. I've already been bitten by it once, and so I'm definitely going to protect my hands when I deal with this. So it comes nicely moistened, although I did water it as soon as I received it. I can feel in here that there are nice roots in there too. When you order from Heirloom Roses, you can ask for metal tags or plastic tags or no tags. And so I chose no tag because I have my own tags that I label my plants with. But when you say no tag, it doesn't come with actually no tag. It comes with this normal nursery type little strip tag. And this appears to be stapled into the can so that it can't get lost. So when you order with no tag, don't worry. They are going to come with some identification on them in case you're ordering more than one. All right, so I'm just going to take this out. I'm going to use biotone starter fertilizer. When you read advice on how to plant roses, sometimes it'll say don't fertilize right away on a brand new plant. Sometimes it'll say to put rose fertilizer in. I'm going to use biotone because I trust that it is gentle enough to not harm the rose. And also, I know that it's really good for building a strong root system on new plants. So that's my method. I'm going to get this in the ground now. I'll probably put it against the fence so that this center stem can go straight up. And then this one eventually I will train to the left, and this one eventually I will train to the right. But I'm not going to do any training on this right now. I'm going to wait until it has long, flexible canes, and then I will start to train them. For now, I just want it to start rooting in. I usually use 2 clawfuls, which I've actually measured how much I can hold in my hand, and that's about a half a cup. So it's about 1 cup of fertilizer in the bottom of the hole. So you can see that it is holding a form of a root ball, but it's not overly root bound or anything. All right, and I'm going to put this in here so that the stems are kind of aiming back toward the back of the fence. And then I always make a well around any plant that I plant on a hill so that the water doesn't run down the hill. I'd rather have the water go toward the roots rather than down the hill. So this will help with that. And now I'm just gonna water that in. Okay, if we look at the design for this garden, the next thing that I should be planting is the creeping phlox that will surround that rose on left and right side to help cover the hill and control erosion. The creeping phlox that I'm going to be using for this garden is currently living and growing and flowering up in the courtyard garden. So I think I do need to move it over here because I don't want to plant in the lower level before I plant the upper level, because then I'll just walk all over the lower level. So I'm going to go up to the courtyard garden and start digging out the creeping phlox that is currently blooming gloriously up there. As we head up there though, let's take a look at the first section of the garden that I was working on earlier this season. I think it's looking absolutely spectacular. I'm so happy with it. I love these Spanish bluebells, and I love the fact that I have some English bluebells as well, pink and blue ones, and I thought I had some white ones as well, but maybe not. But I just love that they're randomly spotted around the garden and bringing in beautiful, beautiful color. I do have a whole lot of forget-me-not plants in here that are on the way to being done blooming. I do want to leave them in here long enough for all of these seeds, or at least some of the seeds, to ripen and fall off, so that we'll continue to have forget-me-nots in here in the future. But as you can see, the seeds are not, well, can you see? The seeds are not quite ripe. They're still green, so they're not ready to pull out yet. It does make the garden look a little bit weedy, I will admit. Yes, at this stage, forget-me-nots start to look a little bit weedy, but I do want forget-me-nots in here as a cottagey style element for next year. So I am gonna let all of these go to seed at least a little bit before I rip them out and clean it up and make it look a little bit nicer. The creeping phlox that I planted in here, I have 9 clumps of it throughout this garden. These over here are being overtaken by the plants around them, but they are all growing, and actually they've all already gotten bigger than they were when I planted them, so that's a nice sign. Let's see. The candy tuft are all doing really well. Everybody is happy. The flowers are just about starting to be done. You can see that they've creeped up the length of the stems here, and so they're starting to look a little weedy as well. So when those flowers are fully done, I will come through and I will trim these back, and then the low growing greenery will continue to grow over the summer and be a green mound and help hold the slope. That's the whole point of having the candy tuft in there, is to hold that slope in place. Down here, ajuga, flowering beautifully, hidden behind the bluebells, but here's some over here. I planted this sedum this year. I forget the name of it, I'm sorry. I'll try to put it up on the screen maybe. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 sections of it. I think there's, I don't know. So that's another erosion control measure that I'm taking. And then over here, oh, there's some more of it over here. So the ajuga and the sedum. Here's a beautiful pink forget-me-not. I'm going to be putting some more of these in this garden for sure. I love that. And I did put in the verbena, yeah, they are Bernard. No, they're not. They're Canadensis. Verbena Homestead Purple. I've got 1, 2, 3 plants of those in here. And then down this way, I got 5 plants of the verbena in here as well. And they're starting to root in, they're starting to throw off a lot of flowers, and I'm hoping that as I continue to take care of these, I need to keep them moist and I need to keep them fed in their first year, and then they should be pretty solid after that. But that's the plan for these. Let's see. Foxgloves coming along on the edge of the fence up there. That's just a little stand of them. So this whole first section of the garden is looking really good. I'm pleased with it. I have some more work to do here. I need a ground cover to hold the slope. Up here, I still need to put in my 3 Carex plants there and there. Maybe we'll do that today. I did put in 3 Carex over here. The forget-me-nots are kind of hiding them. There's one right there. There's one right there. And I think there's one behind that forget-me-not. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one, and I'm eager to make the second and third ones be as bountiful and beautiful as this in the future. And here in the courtyard garden is the phlox that I'm talking about. We're going to be digging this all out and moving it down to be next to the roses over there. So yeah, I believe this is emerald blue. Is that a color? I don't know. I have some more of it over here. And actually, this is a really nice indication of what I want that driveway bed to look like. I want the phlox to completely surround any other plants that are in there. So that's what this has done too. You can see the phlox is slowly creeping down into the rest of the bed, going around other plants, not harming them, but filling in. And so we no longer need to put any mulch on here. And that was the entire goal as a ground coverage for this garden. And I love the way it just is a sea of blue right now, and then in the summer it's just a sea of green ground cover to surround all the other plants. That's the goal for over there as well. Anytime you want to dig in clay soil, I think it's smart to water first. This phlox has come out over the patio quite a bit, so I need to find the edge of the bricks before I can dig down in. Looks like it's going to come out in nice big chunks, so that's nice. It's pretty shallow rooted. And I'm just going to make cuts like that so I can have manageable sized pieces. And this is what it looks like. Very fibrous roots. And the soil wants to fall off of it right now. So I'm going to get this set down in a carrier and then get as many chunks like that as I can. Now, a lot of this was rooted in from one spot and then had really long runners, so a lot of this is going to die off. But that's okay, I got a big chunk of roots there. Hey, look, I found the tag for these. Phlox subulata emerald blue. So I'm going to be trying to plant these without losing too much of the plant, but I know that some of this plant material is going to be sacrificed in the doing. So I'm going to put biotone into the planting hole. I think I just need a shallow planting hole, maybe 2 inches deep, but pretty wide to accommodate all these roots. Oh, you know what? I don't want to be this close because I still got carex to go in here, so I need to cut a little further this way. Because the roots were so messy and tangled, all I did really was just put that clump down into the hole and then pull soil up around the edges. I couldn't figure out a better way. I guess that's how that's gonna go. And it looks like I'm gonna have plenty to cover this area and maybe even some for the third area. So that's pretty nice. These are Carex albicans, or white tinged sedge, and they are native in my area here. I have plug size plants here, so basically tall root trainer landscape plugs. You can see how deep those roots have already gotten, and that is a good sign. Native Carex send roots really down deep, so you don't have to keep them watered as much because they'll find their own water, and also they are great for erosion management. Okay, so these are supposed to be one here, and one right there. So I am going to go ahead and pull these forget-me-nots from this particular section, but I'm going to let most of the other ones stay a little while longer so they can set seed for me. All right, so these bulb foliages will be dying back in a couple of weeks, so this is going to be a bare spot. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Carex kind of just right here, and it will eventually grow up and fountain like that. I've been storing these in this pot together, and they've grown together. And there's a big fat slug in the bottom. Hello. All right, you're gonna go right there, little guy. And you're gonna love this spot, and you're gonna grow big and be beautiful. And help manage our erosion. Got it? Good. I'll put another one of them right here. Oh, you're not getting any biotone, guy. So sorry. It's too far away. And I need more mulch up in here because I didn't spread any originally because I had other plants there. All right, so that's those. Same idea over here. We're gonna put one about right here. They've grown together as I was storing them in here. They've been in this little container about, I would say, coming on a month, maybe 3 weeks, and they've grown together. They want to live, that's for sure. The next plant I'm going to put onto this section of the garden are these ice plant, or Delosperma cooperi. These have summer flowers that are beautiful, raspberry pinkish purple. They look a little bit like aster flowers to me, to my eye. These might not do well in this spot because these want full sun, and I'm imagining they're going to bloom the best if they do get full sun, but I don't have full sun here. But it says it requires excellent drainage and they're drought tolerant, so that is definitely good. Grows to 5 inches tall and 18 to 24 inches apart. So this is about as tall as they'll get, but they'll put on their flower spikes, which I do see some buds coming. Hopefully we can see that. Let's see if we're focusing. Buds on the ends of these tall stems. So I'm not sure if this is the best place to put this plant. I should have put it up in the spot that gets more sun. I'm going to try it. I'm going to put it right here in this section on the left side of this section of the garden. And we're going to see if they'll get enough sun. They get full sun starting around 1 o'clock in the afternoon until about 4. So that's definitely not full sun. That's only part sun at most. But we're going to give them a shot because I have them and I want to see if this will work. So let's get these in. My plan calls for 5 of these homestead purple verbenas to be planted below the juniper over there. I haven't finished cleaning up the section over there by that juniper. So there's only space right now for me to put 3 of the 5 in there. So I'm going to put 3 in today, and then after I get the rest of that space clear, I'll finish putting in the other 2. Okay, well, believe it or not, those are all the plants that I have purchased for this area. I don't have anything else to put in here. I don't know what I thought. I don't know why I didn't buy more plants for here. So I need to either go get more plants or use some of my annuals that I purchased in this spot. But all of my annuals have a plan for where they're going to go. So I really want to go get some more ground cover type, native if possible, but if not, that's fine. Ground cover type, erosion control type of plants to put in this lower level. Once those are in, then I'll be able to mulch, and then this flower bed will be done for at least this current season. So let me get cleaned up. I got to clean up my mess, and I got to clean myself up a little bit, and then we'll go to a garden center and see if we can find something. I took a quick trip out to Lauren's Garden Service and Nursery out in western Howard County, Maryland. I think it's the Clarksville address. They sell only native plants or nativars, close, varieties that are very close to being true natives. They have a large selection of only native plants. It's a small nursery, but given that everything is only native, it's actually a nice selection of natives compared to another nursery that has so many different non-native plants. So I'm just going to put in the footage here of walking around and looking at the different options, and then I'll share with you what I ended up with.
actually how many miles. Oh wow! I mean, it was not what I should have done. One of the ladies away this week, so we said we should do her boxes, and that was just extra. I have 3. Thank you. And I can walk it all on Saturday, so I'm kind of making up for not doing it Saturday. Yeah, it doesn't work so well. So one tall one and then those 2. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, good. Thank you. Well, there is Okay, I changed clothes. I washed all the dirt off of myself, went and got some lunch, and then I went out to Lauren's garden center. Lauren's Native Plants Garden Center and Nursery, something like that, out in Western Howard County, roughly at the intersection of Route 32 and Triadelphia Road. And I picked up a couple of things for this section of the garden, and I found what I'm going to try as my climber for the third section on the fence. The first thing I got were 2 of these bearberries. These are low growing, about this tall. That's about as tall as they'll get, but wide. They'll grow, depending on if they like the place they are, they'll grow anywhere from 2 to 3 feet wide, up to 8 to 10 feet wide. So I'm not sure if they're going to like this spot enough to go that big or not. So I went ahead and I got 2 of them, because if they only grow to be 2 feet wide, then I'll need 2. So I was told by the people who work there that they probably, she thinks that they will root in to the soil as they spread out. And so then that'll help with erosion. And it'll also, I'll be able to take little sections of it out of the soil and move it around in case I want to put more of it in this area to help continue to control the slope. So bearberries, these are a native plant. I know these grow up on Cape Cod because I believe my sister-in-law, in fact, there's a place on Cape Cod called Bearberry Hill, I think. Maybe I made that up. I don't know. Anyway, so let's see. The tag says not much information. Arctostaphylos uva ursi, bearberry. So, got 2 of those. I think they resemble kind of like boxwood foliage a little bit, or maybe a Japanese holly foliage. They are evergreen and they have pretty red stems on them. I don't know if you can see that. And I believe they do flower. The flowers on here are, well, no, they're not done. Look at that. Can you see that flower there? They look like little teeny tiny blueberry flowers. There they are. And I do believe that they do put berries on as well. So 2 of those. For the climber in the third section of this driveway fence garden, you know, I have a rose up here and a rose that I just put in today with you. The third section down there is too shady for roses, so I decided to give this a try. These are plugs. I think they were $4.50 each, of Virgin's Bower, which are Clematis americana, Clematis virginiana. I think Clematis virginiana. They are a native clematis here in the Mid-Atlantic region, and they will grow up to 20 feet if they like where they are. They will take shade to part shade to a little bit of sun. I think they don't want to be in full sun. That's good because I'm not going to be putting them in full sun. I'm going to try these as the climber onto the fence. Now, I'm told if they like their spot, they can get really rapidly big, and so you may have to keep your eye on it. So I'm going to try these out. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of them in just in case one of them doesn't succeed, and we'll see how that goes. And then finally, for this middle section, again, the section we've been working on today, I got 7 of these little violets. These are native violets called Silver Gem. viola silver gem. They have a really interesting blue foliage with dark green veining, and I think that that's a nice color. It kind of matches the color of the junipers. Have little teeny tiny purple violet flowers. I don't know if these bloom all summer long or if they're a spring bloomer like our native wild violets are. But I like this foliage, and these will spread up to about a foot or a foot and a half in diameter. So I got 7 of them, and I'm going to sprinkle them in around in that section to try to, again, erosion control, covering the ground, making sure that I take care of this hill from sliding down the driveway. So that's what I bought today, and so let's get these put into the ground. I might not plant the virgin bower today, but let's get the bearberries and the violets into the ground today. I think I'm going to try them in this location, and we'll see how they do. Yeah, I think that's going to be a nice addition to this. It'll be a little bit evergreen. Uh, this and the junipers are about the only evergreens that we have. The phlox will not die back, but it'll turn brown. What else will be evergreen? Yeah, maybe the junipers and this bearberry are the only evergreens on this hill. So we'll see how they do. I think it is going to look nice. A little bit like boxwoods along here, but also distinctly not boxwoods. So yeah, hopefully these will fill in this area. And if they like this area, I might end up taking one of them out and moving them to another spot and letting the one just fill in. We'll see. All right, now 7 of these little violets with the bluish foliage.
And after a good watering in, the last step is to spread mulch on top of this and hope to keep that moisture in so the plants can root in. I'm using the wood chips that we still have from the trees that we had taken down about a month before this.
Whew, it's a hot one today. We're in the upper 80s. Yesterday we were at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. It's too soon for this hot weather, I can tell you that. But anyway, I worked through it and I got this middle section of the garden planted today. Let's take a look. So it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now, and you can see that this is in full sun. But by about 4 o'clock, it'll be in shade again because the sun will go behind the house. So the middle section starts at this juniper and goes down to that juniper. And so what we did today was we planted this antique rose. We transplanted a bunch of this emerald blue phlox. And then we planted in, let's see, 9, I believe, 3 over here, 3 right here, and 3 down here of the Carex albicans, or the white tinged sedge. We planted in 3 ice plants that are going to have pretty purple flowers on them, hopefully. We went to the garden center and got 2 bearberries and put them in. And we got 7 viola, gosh, I already forget the name of it, that they have pretty blue leaves with green veining and little purple flowers. So I've mainly got it for the foliage color here, and hopefully these will grow into each other, be a nice mat. And then we planted in 3 of the homestead purple verbenas. We got 2 more of those to go, but I need to take this stuff out before that can go in. So this is the middle bed done. Now I do believe I'll be putting in some fall bulbs. I'll be putting in some tete-a-tete daffodils to match the ones that I put in up there this year. We'll also put in some Spanish bluebells probably, and maybe some English bluebells as well, and probably some pink forget-me-nots. Other than that, this is done. So I'm so happy to have this checked off the list. They don't exactly match quite yet or blend together quite yet because of all the forget-me-nots and bluebells up here that are going crazy. But as soon as the bluebells are done and the forget-me-nots go to seed, then this will be cleaned up a little bit and it'll look a little bit more like this bed down here. Or I should say this one will look a little bit more like this one up here. So now all I have left to do is this bottom section, clean out from this juniper down to the tree. So there's some clumps of stuff here, some clumps of stuff there, but actually this one's going to be easier to do because this middle section is mostly already cleaned out except for violets and some ajuga that's in there. But the big heavy stuff that's hard to get out, like the spiderwort and the daylilies, there's not as much of those to do, so that's good. So, and then I'll be putting the Virgin's Bower clematis right here, which is Clematis virginiana, I believe, and it'll hopefully scramble all over this fence here. And then we'll put in the rest of the plants that I am planning to put down here. We have some ground cover Pachyra aurea, and we'll probably leave the ajuga in there because it is pretty good, and who knows what else.
Well, folks, it's been a couple of weeks since I filmed the planting of this middle section, so I thought I would give you an update on how things are looking now. This is, I believe, the 14th of May, maybe the 15th of May, somewhere around there. I think it's the 14th today. So yeah, let me show you what this garden is looking like now, a couple of weeks after I did that installation. I'm really pleased because all of the phlox looks like it is alive. We've got some browning showing here, but that's just because it trails out and has brownness underneath. It will regrow and recover in this space. And then this one is also a little bit brown, but you do see a lot of green on there still. So I think that's going to recover nicely as well. So it won't be long before this will be a beautiful ground cover of emerald blue phlox that is all together, and it'll spill down over the rocks and it'll look really nice. The violets have started to spread. They're not really flowering anymore, but they are spreading wider, and so this is going to be a nice ground cover area for this area as well. As they do start to fill in, I'm going to be harvesting some of these and spreading them around other spots on this bed because I love the color of this foliage. When you get up close, it's even better. It almost looks like an African violet, but it's got silvery leaves and then dark veins, and then the stems have pink or purple maroonish color, and then the back is purple as well. So I just love the color of this plant. Oh, look, we're gonna get some more flowers. Nice. Oh, that makes me happy. The flowers are much smaller than the wild violets that we have here. These are just spectacular. I am so in love with these violets. The verbena is doing well. It's a little sparse, but it's young, so I believe these will fill in over time. I haven't cleared down here yet, and the spiderwort is just glowing this purple. I do love the colors of the spiderwort flowers. It's just that I don't want this messy, strappy look on this bed. I want everything here to be more low growing, ground covery types of things. The carex are doing well. Nothing bad is happening to them anyway. The bearberry seem to be doing really well. They are putting on new growth, and so that tells me that they're happy where they are. The ice plant blooming really nicely. Now most of the blooms do aim up that way because that's where the sun is when the sun hits this bed. But I love the color, this bright magenta. It's just really stand out. So that's making me happy here. I have put in some starts of pink forget-me-nots, couple of spots. I mostly tucked them around the rocks. There's one there. All through this area, I put some little starts of that. Those were winter sown, and so they're going to be fine. I think I've got some gladiolus coming up here that I was unaware of were there, so that'll be interesting to see if I want to keep those there or not. And then the carex here are doing well as well. So this whole second section of the garden is doing well. Oops, I forgot to talk about the rose. The rose is putting out new leaves, so that's a good deal as well. Over there on the right especially. On the left side you see little sprouts just starting to come off of some nodes. But this one on the right is really doing well. So the rose is living, it's growing, it's happy enough in its location. So that's good news as well. And now I wanted to show you the top section as well. I have foxgloves in here. That was before I made this design, I had these foxgloves growing. So I went ahead and let them grow, and I just love them. So I'm going to continue to allow foxgloves to grow along the fence. As far as they want to go, I'm happy to have foxgloves. So I'm going to let these go to seed and sprinkle their seeds all around, and hopefully get more foxgloves along the fence every year. Wouldn't that be gorgeous? And then everything is growing really well in here. I've taken out all of the blue forget-me-nots and cleaned all that out, so it's looking much less weedy. All of the bluebells are going to seed now, and their leaves are starting to die back. So I'll be taking care of all of these, cleaning those up here probably in a week or two. I'm going to let them gather more sunlight just for another week or so. But anyway, let's look at this rose. This is the can rose that I moved. I cut it back severely, and then I moved it over here. And look how many buds are on this rose. It's amazing. Very happy with how this rose has thrived in this new location. So this is a climbing rose, and it will get to be about 8 to 10 feet wide eventually. But this first flush of roses, being here on this little tiny shrubby version of itself, I am not arguing. That is perfectly fine with me. So we're going to have some really carmine red colored flowers here just a week or so, or less. We'll see how long they take to come out. The phloxes that are in here, remember this is the magenta colored phlox. There's one last little flower still blooming on them. All of the phloxes are doing well. None of them died. They're all filling out, getting thicker, doing what they're supposed to do. Eventually, they will be a nice ground cover all up around here as well. Up there, again, the carexes are doing well. The candy tufts, I've got 6 candy tufts across here. They're all gone to seed now, and so they'll just be green mounds throughout the rest of the summer. And then we have a juga in here that I had planted prior to this garden design. It's doing well. It's at the tail end of its flowering. You can see one flower spike there still hanging on. And then I also planted this sedum in here, and it is doing really well. It has already started to spread out and mix and mingle like I wanted it to. Look at this color combination, this ajuga with this sedum. They're exactly the same colors as each other, but different textures and shapes. And so I am just in love with this mix of the ajuga and this sedum. I got lucky on that. I didn't plan it that way, but oh my gosh, it really is just beautiful, I think. Again, this bulb foliage will be gone in a week or two. And then over here, we've got the pink forget-me-nots are still hanging on. I haven't taken them out yet, but this is the color of forget-me-nots that we're gonna have. I put plugs of all across here, so we'll have a lot of those next year. And then the verbena is doing really well as well. So nice, big, vibrant green. And yeah, so I couldn't be happier with the way this is coming together. Once this bulb, stems and foliage gets taken away, it'll have another different look to it. But then it'll be pretty much what it's gonna be for the summer. The main flower interest in the summer is coming from the verbenas. And that's okay with me. Maybe the ice plants as well. It's okay with me. That'll be a nice green, calm green thing punctuated with the purple and the magenta of those 2 different plants. Yeah, so that is what's happening here. Thanks so much for following along with me as I have been transforming this driveway garden. I still have one more section to do. You know, there's only so many hours in a day, so many days in a week. So we're making progress, and I hope that you are making progress on your garden as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in another video real soon, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.